So,
Let's start. Systemic circulation. Systemic circulation starts from which part of the heart? Systemic circulation.
aorta.
Then aorta. Then aorta, I will draw aorta. Simple with aorta. Divide into some ranges and form circulation in some organs, upper part, above diaphragm, lower part, lower below diaphragm, one range, second range.
How to say, you mean this yes or 30?
Yes. Easy question. And blood returns to the heart with the ways, clinical ways, superior and inferior, organ located above diaphragm, for organ located above diaphragm, blood return across superior ventrically and lower below diaphragm and fascia. The simple scheme, just idea. So we have two systems of blood flow, two systems of resistance. Parallel resistance,
And
parallel
series.
resistance, you can see that. And inside each braid we have another parallel resistance.
Series.
The capillary resistance and series. This here, series resistance, and inside they have parallel resistance. Both. Parallel resistance. Series resistance is described as sum of resistance of each components are total equal sum of each component resistance. It's a physical law. And parallel resistance, I didn't lecture, but it has you have it in textbook. Parallel resistance is described by another equation. Inversely proportional. What is the idea? In the series resistance, increase of each component increases total resistance substantially, significant. For parallel resistance, increase of resistance of each capillaries doesn't increase so much total resistance. It's not so essential increase. And increase of capillaries, blood vessels inside this parallel, parallel bed, parallel blood vessel bed, decreases total resistance. There's total resistance in parallel, one scheme and another scheme. A lot of capillaries. Second part has less total resistance. Spreading of capillaries doesn't increase total vascular resistance in the body circulation.
It will stay the same, right? It will stay the same.
Total what? About what?
About here, like if it's spread more.
No, here is example of different amount numbers capillaries. For example, little capillaries, few capillaries, and more capillaries. And the second case doesn't increase the total resistance of this bag. The opposite decreases in accordance with this equation. So here, for example, plus 1, another component increase total.
Yes, it's an increase.
Here, increase of numbers
No,
decreases resistance. To do
degrees.
this equation, if you transform this equation, there is a transformation in constants. Right. Your presence is not necessary for me. You must change chief.
I think so.
Who is chief? Why? He's not active, I think. Well, значит, serious and imperative, значит, this difference, then information about cardiac output, right? Atrium, and left atrium, cardiac output.
It's the same.
It must be same.
Same.
Cardiac output, right? Must be same, cardiac output left. What is the name of amount of blood returning to atria, mostly to the right atria?
Venous return.
Venous return depends on resistance of veins and blood pressure gradient between the beginning of veins and finish at the end of veins, in accordance with Ohm law. R veins minus R center, P,
B.
P blood pressure minus P rate area divided to resistance. Resistance. Venous return is blood flow volume, volume, volume. The same, but inside veins. This in the Ohm law is appropriate. Veins as well as to systemic circulation, total systemic circulation. What is the name of blood pressure inside right atria and the end of vena cava? What is the name?
Central venous.
Central venous pressure. Central venous pressure. Central venous pressure, normal central venous pressure is changing between 2 to 12 millimeter Hg. It depends on cardiac cycle, systole, diastole phases, and breathing cycle. What happens with central venous pressure during inspiration? Decreases. And opposite during expiration increases. So this number is not stable, can vary inside this normal range. Increase of central venous pressure more than normal decreases venous return. It impairs blood circulation. And opposite, decreases central venous pressure, increases venous return. Sometimes it's possible to have to evoke excessive decrease central venous pressure, for example, due to bleeding. And it decreases blood pressure in the body because body loses blood volume, bleeding, injury and bleeding. When body loses more than 20% of blood, is crucial to alive. Due to decrease blood pressure gradient, decrease blood flow and circulation, blood circulation. But venous compartment can have compensation due to veins constriction. Vein can be constricted like artery in the less degree, but can be constricted due to sympathetic innervation. Veins have a little, but have smooth muscles. Well, about the difference between blood vessels. The principal difference between aorta, elastic, elastic, it has a higher elasticity. To resist high blood pressure due to blood ejection. It's hard during systole phase eject a big portion of blood. It stretches aorta, and aorta must resist to it. Don't be broken. Don't be broken. Aorta stretches during systole phase by blood portion ejection, systole phase ejection. What happens during diastole phase?
It constricts.
Decreases diameter. Decreases diameter. During systole phase, there are two kinds of energy, kinetic and potential energy. Energy potential, energy kinetic. And potential energy is the energy in stretching, blood vessel wall stretching. And then potential energy transformed to kinetic energy during the diastolic phase. So blood flow continues during the diastolic phase. What about blood flow velocity during systolic phase and diastolic phase?
It should be
Is
faster.
it different, equal or different?
Different.
Different during systolic, more. Yeah, about blood flow velocity. Blood flow and blood flow velocity. Amount of blood inside blood vessel in each total section area in every type of blood vessels. This total cross-section area, this cross-section area, this and aorta must be equal. Q equal across all blood vessels. All blood vessels must be equal within circulation system. But inside organ, blood flow is changed due to dividing of big arteries, large arteries to smaller arteries, like this. Division to 3 arteries, Q, and Q1, Q2, Q3, always less than total.
Yes.
Blood flow is arranged between smaller blood vessels in at all sites of local circulatory system at all sites. Do you understand it? Huh?
Yes.
This total blood flow is equal in at all blood vessels one time. All arteries, all large arteries, all medium arteries, smaller arteries, arterioles, capillaries. But between one artery and branch, Q is different. Blood flow is different. With key graph, I asked to draw in control board. And you must draw it. I will ask John Kawoko, which student, velocity, blood flow and blood flow velocity and blood pressure. Which aorta, large arteries, arterioles, medium arteries, arterioles, capillaries, venules,
Venous, vena cava.
medium veins, and vena cava. Short question. What about blood pressure? In blood vessels with bigger, smooth muscle layer, aorta, arteries, large arteries, medium arteries, and arterioles. At least at the beginning of arterioles, blood pressure has two levels: systolic and diastolic. Pulse, blood pressure. Pulse and becomes a little more large arteries, then
Decrease.
decreases
Medium arteries.
and falls to down in arterioles, and then decreases. Capillaries about 30 millimeter G capillaries, and it declines to
Three.
central venous pressure. Central venous pressure at the end. Central venous pressure about this. No, medium 2-4 millimeter G. Slowest at the end. Okay, 3 millimeter G. Medium average with the cardiac cycle, because systole more, diastole less. And mean blood pressure, so it decreases.
It will be
Mean blood pressure
closer to diastolic blood pressure.
it becomes closer to systemic blood pressure, mean blood pressure. It becomes equal because the mean blood pressure depends on both systolic and diastolic. Closer to diastolic, so it's not average. Closer to diastolic, a little bit more. It means blood pressure. Next,
Velocity.
linear blood flow velocity. Linear blood flow velocity depends on total square, one type of blood vessel. Aorta is a single blood vessel, so highest linear blood flow velocity. Arteries, large arteries, larger total sections area, so blood flow velocity becomes less, and it decreases to capillaries, lowest to capillaries. And the total section area becomes less than capillaries. Capillaries has the biggest cross-section areas, then increases
Increase
again.
again.
And finally, it becomes a little less compared with ours. What is the average blood flow velocity inside our within our
40 to 50
50 centimeter per second. Unit centimeter
per second.
About 50. But I paid your attention that it's average, mass average. Because inside a single blood vessel, At first, there are, of course, there may be a liner and turbulent. Of course, assumption just liner, not velocity. Liner or laminar, 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 laminar. Laminar means flowing by layers
Yes.
with different
Yes.
velocity. Layers. The first layer is fastest. Layer near wall is lowest. Slowest. Fastest and slowest. So the central layer has fastest speed. It more than 50.
Professor, velocity means the sticking of the blood vessels to the steering steering.
Velocity means
Speed.
Velocity,
distance. Velocity means distance.
No, viscosity.
Viscosity. Viscosity is the resistance to fluid, to flow. Resistance to flow. Viscosity depends on diameter
Radius.
and numbers of erythrocytes and proteins, colloid systems. Erythrocytes can stick each other due to electrical forces between them. We will study the next topic about blood. And the more the sticks, more viscosity. And the colloid system, more proteins, less ratio between proteins and water, more viscosity. So different speed, different velocity inside cross-section area of a single blood vessel, and different velocity during systole phase and then diastole phase. So it's average. For example, during systole phase, the central layer can have in aorta 140 centimeters per second. It's normal. It's normal for fastest layer, but average will be about. This is key, yeah. And then blood. Just 1 second. What I need to explain more. Picture of another key picture of pulse wave. Pulse wave in arteries. Second blood vessel is arteries. Arteries and arterioles. What is the name of blood vessel? Type of blood vessel. Arteries and arterioles. Elastic aorta. Elastic aorta, because aorta has a lot of smooth muscle, but in comparison with the rest of blood vessel, aorta has a lot of elastic elements. Collagen, elastic.
They called resistance.
Resistance, it means to resist, resistance to blood pressure. With blood pressure, has pressure to wall inside blood vessels, and it stretches, may stretch blood vessel wall. But arteries have thick smooth muscle layer. Smooth muscle cells have automaticity. As automaticity increases in response to stretching, smooth muscle, more stretching, more automaticity. And arteries increases muscle tone is maintain diameter. In response to stretching, anyway, arteries can maintain diameter within some range. Increase muscle tone and maintain diameter. To maintain stable diameter, more or less stable diameter. Of course, a blood vessel is controlled by external factors also. Hormones, neurotransmitters, but here I mean just this effect, resistance. What is a two function? What is a two function of resistance blood vessels?
For blood pressure,
Blood pressure,
Blood
viscosity.
pressure maintenance.
Yes.
Because if arteries would be stretched, blood pressure
Will decrease.
would fall and possible to have blood pressure gradient. Maintain blood pressure, the arteries inside the arteries, and second function,
continuously.
Regulate V and Q.
the regulation of local blood flow. How? Again, I draw large arteries divided to several smaller arteries. And precapillary sphincters. Precapillary sphincters. Precapillary sphincters are short, thick, smooth muscle ring at the end of smallest arterioles before entrance to capillaries. It controls capillary bed. Diameter of each branch controls local circulation. For example, like this blood dilation, blood vessel dilation, constriction. With constriction of some range decreases blood circulation in supply organ. The two functions. What is the difference between arteries and arterioles? Both are resistance blood vessels. What is the morphology difference between
The
arteries?
diameter.
Diameter and ratio between thick smooth muscles and diameter. Arteries, of course, has bigger diameter. Arteries, arterioles. This absolute thickness, absolute thickness of smooth muscle layer, bigger in arteries, of course, but ratio between thickness of smooth muscle wall and total diameter, this ratio is more in arterioles. So arterioles resistance is more than arteries, larger arteries.
Professor.
And more, arterioles number.
Sorry, can you explain it again?
And arteries has more diameter, have more diameter than arteries. And a thicker smooth muscle layer, tunica media. But ratio between this and total diameter, more in arterioles. So arterioles bed has more resistance, 50%. Next capillary, next blood vessel, capillaries. What is the composition of capillaries wall?
Just endothelial cells
Endothelium?
smooth muscle.
And
Smooth
No,
muscle.
no muscle.
endothelium.
endothelial cells and basement membrane.
Yes.
Just it,
And in some capillaries we have pericytes too.
Yes, it pericytes above. Capillaries, basement membrane, and endothelial cell capillaries. It's monostructure, but there are three types of capillaries in our body. Um, Сейчас I forgot the first English name. Continuous, да? Histology.
Yes, yes.
Continuous, да? Значит, the same version. Значит, continuous capillaries. Continuous capillary doesn't have a special pore. It has only smallest pore in the endothelial cells, smallest pores to provide capillary transport, capillary exchange, substance exchange. For example, water channels, pores between cells here, no? Between cells, contact between cells are permeable for some substance. Main transport of providing exchange, mostly diffusion. Passive diffusion. Between capillaries and tissues, diffusion. It may be also osmosis for water, osmosis with passive transport, and a little of active transport, primary and secondary. Fenestrated capillaries. Fenestrated capillaries has special special windows in the endothelial cells. They are called fenestra. Special window. Fenestra. Fenestrated capillaries. This type of capillaries is permeable for big molecules like peptides or small proteins. What organ contain fenestrated capillaries?
Endocrine organs.
Endocrine gland, to release hormones into blood. What more? Intestine to absorb nutrients, and kidneys, three organs. Endocrine gland, for example, hypothalamus, hypophysis, and kidneys and intestine to absorb nutrients. And the last type of capillaries, sinusoid capillaries. Sinusoid capillaries has broken basement membrane, space between basement part, and it's permeable for foreign element, erythrocyte. These capillaries are located in the organ of foreign element production. Red bone marrow, liver, and spleen. You must remember it. I hope from histology you know. Capillaries provides just exchange of substances. What substances can go across capillary medium?
Oxygen.
Gases, oxygen, carbon
Lipid
dioxide.
solubles.
Значит, nutrients, lipids, glucose, fructose, small peptides maybe, depends on capillaries. Actually, each capillary can pass a few big molecules, but just a few, a little amount. Fenestrated more. Nutrients, salts, and water. to understand starting forces providing water exchange between capillaries and tissue. We will pay attention to it because it's necessary to explain edema in your patients with poupitis, for example, inflammation inside tooth or around tooth. I didn't explain during lecture because I didn't have time. All I'm offline, but I will explain. I'm going to explain now, and I will ask you during colloquium. This course, very important. For medicine therapy. In science. Science. Non-difficult. Capillary. Model of capillary. This is continuous capillary. Arterial and venous end. Precapillary arterials enters here, and venous postcapillary. Venous postcapillary venous doesn't have smooth muscle. Precapillary arterials has precapillary sphincter. Postcapillary venous doesn't have smooth muscle. It's like part of capillary. And what forces affect on water exchange between capillaries and tissues? These forces are called Starling forces, and scientists apply Starling equation. Starling forces. Total force is called net filtration pressure. Net is flow. Net is flow. Flow filtration pressure. Net filtration pressure. Net filtration pressure equal 4 components, summation and minus 4 components. The main component is hydrostatic pressure inside capillaries. The biggest component. Hydrostatic pressure inside capillaries. Opposing force is hydrostatic pressure, interstitial fluid outside, interstitial fluid, tissue, interstitial fluid. Another force is minus hydrostatic pressure, interstitial fluid. Another force, opposite force, living water inside blood within blood vessel, opposite direction, oncotic pressure or colloid pressure.
It is blood inside the vessels? Water inside the vessels?
Oncotic pressure is created by proteins, colloid pressure. Proteins. And opposite force, colloid pressure, interstitial fluid. Hydrostatic pressure moves water afar, forward. Colloid pressure attracts. Hydrostatic pressure is the biggest component. It's arterial. At arterial end of capillaries, it's about 35 millimeter G. Opening an interstitial fluid about 4. Oncotic pressure. With a minus, in capillaries about 25 millimeter G, and oncotic pressure interstitial fluid about 3. Because some proteins can be in interstitial fluid due to a few protein molecules from capillary or damage of cells. Right, in your notebook. This is my screen. Capillaries, forces, diagram forces, and equation. Hydrostatic pressure in capillaries minus hydrostatic pressure interstitial fluid minus plus. And with minus P in capillaries oncotic pressure. It was okay, minus plus. Minus caloric pressure P interstitial fluid. Plus. It's correct. We calculate result 35 minus 4 minus 25 and plus 3.
Uh, 7.
7, about 7. Plus 7 millimeter inch. This number may be a little different, plus 6, plus 8, depends on these numbers. Because caloric pressure may be between 25 and 30. Hydrostatic pressure capillaries also may vary inside some range, 35, 36. So this result may a little differ in different textbooks. It's not important, but it will be positive always at the arterial end. Plus 7 means the total force is directed outside. It's net filtration pressure plus 7 directed outside. And pulse, water outside. Water with salt, sodium chloride. What happens at the venous end? At the venous end, blood vessel capillary contain less water because some water left capillaries. And hydrostatic pressure at the venous end may be about 18 millimeter G. And now calculate net filtration pressure.
18.
18.
Conclude. And the hydrostatic pressure will be
The same equation, but not 35 minus, not 35, 18 instead of 35, because some water disappeared.
It will be minus.
Minus, how many? Minus,
It should be 10 and minus 10.
minus 10,
Minus 8.
minus 10, minus 10 millimeter dg. It means direction of flow, come back to capillaries.
So positive or negative mean the direction.
Yes, yes. And of course, number, of course. So water goes outside and then comes back to
Into the
capillaries.
glass.
Into capillaries. And about 90% is coming back to capillaries, returning back to capillaries. And 10% goes to lymph blood vessels. Of course, cells exchange with water, exchange by water. And cells take new water and can give excess of water. So it's circulation, water circulation between interstitial fluid. Uh, inside tooth has capillaries also, and it happens also. For example, what happens if inflammatory substance like histamine, inflammation. Also, a patient has inflammation, and the histamine, prostaglandin dilates blood vessel, arterial blood vessels. More blood inflow to this part, more hydrostatic pressure in capillaries, a person has edema. Second case, for example, heart failure, cardiac output falls, blood control turns off blood control mechanism, rapid at first fast and slower mechanism, renin-angiotensin system, kidney delays water, and total blood volume rises. The cardiac output falls, but to maintain blood pressure, kidney preserves more water in the blood. Blood flow, total blood flow volume, blood volume inside blood vessels rises, hydrostatic pressure rises, and the person has edema due to heart failure, heart deficiency. Third case, for example, starving person doesn't eat proteins or has a lack of proteins during long time. What happens? Blood proteins concentration decreases, oncotic pressure decreases, and again this person has edema. But after long period of deficiency, protein deficiency in food. Oh, take for your cases, but for you, the first case more. Starting course. Then about this. Next, blood vessels, veins. Veins. Veins, smaller veins, medium veins, have smooth muscle, but thickness is smaller, much smaller compared to arteries. So, comparison of compliance. What is the compliance? Compliance. Next graph, compliance. Difference in blood pressure inside blood vessels is stretching force. Stretching force. And volume, difference in diameters or volume. This dependence is called compliance. Compliance means increase of volume inside blood vessels or diameter in response to increase pressure gradient. Blood vessel wall is stretched blood pressure inside and outside. It's called transmural pressure, but more important inside because outside is more. Delta P. Here delta P means difference between blood pressure before and blood pressure after. Pressure here, transmural pressure. This pressure. Transmural pressure. P1 minus P2. It's called transmural pressure because during edema this factor increases. Normal person is not so bad. And, compliance graph. Compliance graph. Arteries and in comparison. And veins. Why? In veins, compliance graph is higher.
Because the volume of the blood is more than arteries.
Because
Why?
because it doesn't contain a lot of muscle, small
A few
muscles.
smooth muscle and increase of blood pressure stretch. So inflow blood into veins, stretch their walls, and blood pressure inside veins is much smaller compared with arteries because big diameter.
So
Yes.
delta V is lower, delta V is higher, so the C will be higher.
Blood pressure decreases in veins. Linear blood flow velocity increases. We explained why. But blood pressure decreases due to stretching of veins. Veins are stretched due to low compliance. Low compliance is due to a few smooth muscles. Easy approach. And veins are called capacitors. Capacitors, not electrical capacitors, of course, volume capacitance. Veins, totally, veins contain most blood, most blood volume. Most blood volume, 65% blood is collected inside veins. Inside veins. Due to low blood vessel tone, or vein blood vessel tone, and the low resistance inverse proportion compliance, low resistance, decrease return, venous return can affect to venous blood vessel wall, and with age, with time, blood venous vessel wall, how to say, becomes softer, and the person can have problem with venous blood circulation. Disease pathology. Disease, it can evoke thrombosis. How to prevent it? How can you increase your venous return? You are sitting, dentist. That dentist mostly sitting person. Sitting person, so venous return becomes lower due to deficiency of muscle contraction. And your vertical position, upright position, gravity force resist to venous return. How to increase your venous return?
The patient should be
Yes,
asleep.
doctor. Patient come and go, but you are sitting all day. Your future
It
profession.
increase.
You are sitting all day. This position, especially so, constrict of your weight. You are sitting. Venous return is decreased. With time, it can damage your veins, and it can evoke thrombosis, venous thrombosis. How to prevent it? To help for yourself.
I think
Like
with walking,
Walking or on and now you are sitting. With constrict, you're always sitting. No, not all day. Sometimes you can do it automatically. Then respiration. Respiration, during inspiration, central venous pressure decreases, and venous return rises due to more pressure rate. Значит, respiration, breathing holding on the inspiration, and during break sometime, breathing exercises before sleep, exercises and special practices. Special practice, special music. Well, did you draw ECG and vectors? I asked for various class. ECG. Did you do?
Yes, but I forgot it in the home.
We showed you professor ECG.
Значит, ECG I asked to draw 6 axes, vectors, projections, and ECG in standard leads, first 2, 3, and AVR. Значит, I'm waiting tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
No, tomorrow, Wednesday.
Wednesday.
To, after lecture.
You said ECG is standard and what?
Standard AVR. Only right. Only body track. I will remind. Remind.
ECG is standard?
The 6, huh? 6, but well, I draw now not good. No. Mark area, lid, and negative, positive side. Each lid. 6 hexagonal system. Then vectors P, Q, R, S, T. Then projection to first, second, third, and AVR projection. Projection means perpendicular line from the end of vector to the lid. For example, P, Q projection, S projection, T, R. To each lid from 4. And draw for ECG in comparison. ECG. Direction of wave is positive or negative, depends on lid side. If projection falls to positive, so it has positive wave, like lid. Negative, like Q, it will give a negative wave. And amplitude depends on length of projection. P1 is smaller than P2. So P1, P wave in first, and first lid will be less, a little less than in 2. I explained. This is good practice. And 1 minute we have 1 minute. So Biozelic equation is easy. Biozelic equation.
Yes.
It's easy. Biozelic equations has limitation, and we apply for hemodynamic with limitation. But well, I think that's enough.
Thank you.
Next class, regulation of blood vessels and blood pressure. Blood vessels and blood pressure. Well, do you want, somebody wants answer, raise it?
Yes. Well, excuse professor, we should give you our homework after lecture on Wednesday, right?
Yes, Wednesday. It's better. Then I can